name is Emily Bieneck, and I'm a second-year law student. I've been looking into military law and gender-based violence. Specifically, I've been looking at the Coast Guard for no other reason than that I've served in the Coast Guard, so I've seen some of these policies either succeed or fail miserably for the people that they're supposed to be protecting. So, honor, respect, and devotion to duty are the Coast Guard's core values. However, with respect to their own people, the 40,000 people who serve in the Coast Guard and their families and children, the Coast Guard is just flat out failing. In order for the Coast Guard to live up to its core values and to address the gender-based violence problem in its entirety, it needs to advocate for its people and ensure equal resources for each type of victim. So, gender-based violence generally is expressed in two forms: sexual assault and intimate partner violence. You may have heard intimate partner violence referred to as domestic violence. Those are distinguishable in a few ways, but for the purpose of this, I'm just going to call it IPV. Sexual assault and IPV are inextricably linked in both their expression and in their cause. So, with regard to sexual assault, the Coast Guard has the Sexual Assault Response, Prevention, and Recovery Program. I got that backwards. Sexual Assault Prevention, Response, and Recovery Program, SAPR. So this program is awesome because it really attacks the cause of sexual assault in a variety of ways. So it requires mandatory training for all Coast Guard members annually. So you don't just get the training once, you get it every year. People are annoyed about that, but it causes great cultural change. And it does so because it takes away some of the stigma of being a victim. It encourages people to be active bystanders to prevent the assaults before they happen. And it also really attacks some of the gender-based violence underpinnings that perpetuate sexual assault in the culture in the first place. So the SAPR program is really important, obviously, because sexual assault is a major problem, specifically in the military. I'm sure you've all watched the news and heard some of the recent stories. It's a major issue. However, sexual assault is not the only gender-based violence form that is also common and important in the military, and the Coast Guard specifically. There are national statistics that show that the rates of occurrence of sexual assault are about the same as those for IPV. So you're just as likely to know somebody who's been a sexual assault victim as you are an intimate partner violence victim. Some studies actually show that intimate partner violence is more common than sexual assault. And moreover, about half of contact sexual violence reports and rapes are perpetrated by intimate partners. So this goes back to the fact that these two forms of gender-based violence are linked in their expression and in their cause. So IPV is not a casual crime. It is a continued pattern of coercive control in which the abuser uses lots of different tactics, including isolation, financial abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, to control their victim and often to destroy their lives. It is a crime of escalation in severity. Sometimes it escalates quickly, sometimes it escalates slowly. And to illustrate the severity, approximately 3 women every day are murdered by their current or former intimate partner. That's 3 women today. And overall, in the US, about half of female homicide victims were murdered by their current or former intimate partner. So given the occurrence and the severity of this crime, one would expect that the Coast Guard and the military as a whole, and Congress, who enables these programs, would place the same amount of importance on IPV, prevention, response, and recovery, as it does on sexual assault. However, you might be shocked, or maybe not, to know that the Coast Guard's program addressing IPV is almost non-existent. It's there, but it's so ineffective that it might as well not be. And moreover, the federal regulations and the policies that enable some of the most determinative resources, such as expedited transfers. That means transferring out of your unit quickly if you've been assaulted because of retaliation, because of danger from the abuser, and all these issues. IPV victims are barred from accessing them, as well as many other resources, even something as simple as a victim advocate. They can't even get a victim advocate. So, in conclusion, in order to live up to its core values and to address gender-based violence in its entirety, the Coast Guard needs to equalize resources between IPV victims and sexual assault victims without distinction. come chat with me in the lobby.